Welcome to the Power Within podcast with Raquel, a masterclass in mastery of self. Simply put, this is where you get your life. Welcome. This is Raquel of inpoweryou.com. Welcome to another episode of The Power Within. I am so excited that you're here with me again as we continue the conversation that we started last week on being a boss and delegating. And I think it was just really an encouraging message for me. You know, it encouraged me. And so I hope that it truly encouraged you. As we talked about and referenced, John Maxwell, we referenced myself, and we even referenced Jeremiah, and how all of us have experienced feeling like we're trying to catch up, comparing ourselves to other people. Yet we don't have to choose that. And today we're going to continue that conversation with that shift, that mind shift that really needs to take place. I want to give you some practical tools to shifting from that mindset. I think a lot of times it gets assumed that because you have reached the level of success that you have outwardly, that there's not an internal conflict that sometimes is still going on. And it's that internal conflict and that external conflict that are warring back and forth with each other that happens in our mind. And our mind is the principal thing. The word says that we've been given power, love, and a sound mind. And so the exercise that I want to share with you is really just the exercise in gaining back the power, the love, and the sound mind that you were already given. It is the power within you. So let's get straight into it. When a negative thought comes to you, that internal dialogue that says, you shouldn't be in this position. You're too young to be in this position. You're not the right color to be in this position. You're not the right gender to be in this position. Or you really need to go into another field because you're not smart enough to be in this position. Who would want to follow you? Why would anybody let you lead anything? It must have been a mistake. Now, you might think, Raquel, that's a little extreme. Raquel works with people every single day who admit to having these thoughts. I told you that I also had a tape in my head that told me that because of my color, I had to work harder than anybody else around in order to succeed. And it caused me to push myself to levels that were unhealthy. And so now that I understand, and I've been on this journey of self-care and personal growth for a long time, and I went and specifically studied to become an expert in the field of mindset, that I understand this and that I want to share it with other women, because we are a very important asset to this world. Think about it. Nobody else would be here if it wasn't for us, right? So we're important, we're integral, and all these messages that are internal that nobody else knows that we're thinking, it's important that we talk about them and get them out. Put them on display, put them on Front Street, because then they won't be able to trip you up. The only things that's tripping you up are the things that you're still not acknowledging, that you're hiding from. And so in this mind exercise, we're going to deal with the negative thoughts that might come through past experiences that you've had. And a lot of times you align your thought with a past experience, and you let that thought and that past experience hinder you from moving to the next phase of success. Success isn't true success if you can't enjoy it when you get there. So this is all a part of understanding, and maybe for you redefining what success really is. All of us have ideas of success. Do you think that success is money? Because I can tell you one thing. There's a young lady in North Carolina who won the lottery. I think it was last year. She won $188 million. And she has been on a television show and has been on several social media outlets where people are blasting her because of how she has used the money. The truth is, she didn't have the mindset to manage the money in her former life. So when this new money came, and I heard her say that the money didn't change her, to some extent, there is some truth to that. But when the Bible says that to whom much is given, much is required. So at some point, your responsibility needed to shift as well. And it can't shift until your mind shifts to that understanding. And so she's finding herself currently in a lot of trouble and is on the path of losing $188 million in less than 10 years. If she does not shift and get the help that she needs. Again, to whom much is given, much is required. Now, I personally choose to use scriptures that remind me of who I am, like the one that says, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That actually is one that I can remember. I have a fear of water. And what I like to do is I like to shift any fear into a benefit for me. So this is the benefit. Remember, we talked about this in the last episode. The benefit for me here is I have a healthy respect for water. So I don't like to confess that I have a fear. I prefer to confess that I have a healthy respect for water. So I'm able to get in water with the understanding of the power of a current to take me and all of this voluptuousness and move it on out to a place that is uncontrollable for me. And so with that understanding, I can still enjoy water to some extent. However, back in the day before GPS, I remember going to Newport News, Virginia, and I was looking at a map, and I didn't look at the map real good because I wasn't that great at reading maps. But I looked at it good enough, and I would stop at certain points to get the rest of my direction, okay? And I get to the part of the map where there's all this blue water. And I am now on a bridge. I don't know if you've ever been to Newport News, Virginia, but that bridge, I want to say, is 20 something miles. And then there's a tunnel that you go under. I don't love tunnels either. I'm just going to be honest with you. And so I'm using this scripture because I literally am terrified because the weather conditions are such that the van that I'm driving, which has nothing in it, no computer equipment to hold it down and make it steady and secure, it's empty. And so I'm in the van driving and the weather has turned to a storm. So now this pretty blue water, or what would have been pretty blue water, is now gray with white foam on top. And it just reminds me of a pot of water boiling on a stove. So just imagine that this is your focus now. And I was terrified. And for more than 20 minutes between the tunnel and the bridge, I said, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. Over and over and over again until it settled my spirit and until I got across that bridge. Now, what's really interesting, after I crossed the bridge going back, because I had to do it again, there was no other way to get back home. I remember talking to my boss at the time, and they told me, Raquel, there's a service at that bridge where they will drive you across. And I thought all kinds of foul things in my head at that time. But going back to the mindset shift that all things work together for my good, I realized that that was my opportunity that God gave me to be stretched and to grow as a result. And I did. And I share this story with people all the time. And I've been told that it really encourages them. So a lot of things we go through, they're not just for us. They're for others. They're for the other people who are going to be following you as you run that empire, as you lead that organization to its next level of success. Another way to shift your mindset that I want you to consider is you can choose to remember a time when you achieved your goals, then activate gratitude. So just get a visual picture. If you're like me, you'll get a scripture, then you'll get a visual picture of seeing yourself succeed, and then you add gratitude in any way, shape, or form, whether you think about it, whether you express it verbally with your words. Activate gratitude for the opportunity that you have been given. And that is a very powerful tool in shifting your mindset. See, mindset shifting is an intentional and active process. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. So those symptoms of anxiety that I talked about, irritability, racing thoughts, increased negative thoughts, feelings of being overwhelmed, the inability to focus, insomnia, hypervigilance, all of those things. The more that you exercise this, then those symptoms of anxiety and stress, they decrease. And you can now actively use the tool of delegating in your life. Once your mindset shifts, then you must begin an intentional process of paying attention to your thoughts, your words, your attitudes, and your actions. And what you will see is that they will begin to change too. And a lot of times with my clients, I will give them a form in which they would track their thoughts. So you can go ahead and Google a thought record and begin to track your thoughts. And it's very simple, very easy to do. And you know what's interesting? A lot of times, those that I work with who really have been battling with negative thoughts and low self-esteem, they find in the process that this decreases and that their idea of how low their self-esteem was and their lack of confidence is not as bad as they thought. And that in itself helps increase progress. It helps just move us along in this process. So again, Google a thought record and begin to intentionally track your thoughts, your words, your attitudes, and your actions, and watch how they become more and more positive. You can also add an exercise of gratitude every morning by writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. Now, for many people, it's easy to write down what you're grateful for, but for others, it's hard. For those of you who find it easy, I want to challenge you to go even a little bit further into looking at a deeper level of gratitude. So, for example, God's already promised He was going to feed you, clothe you, and all those things. And maybe you have all those things. You already seen God's hand in that area. Can you go a little bit deeper into what you're grateful for? And by doing so, I want you to remove anything. Don't use things. Anything other than a thing is what I want you to think about in being grateful. And that'll help take you to another level. Let me know how that works out for you. Okay. Now, mind you, this mindset shift, this mindset exercise or exercises, they don't exempt you from new challenges that will test your faith. And when your faith is tested, you might feel an increase in stress and anxiety. But what it will do is give you the know-how to manage it using these God-given tools that will cause you to reap a harvest. So you reap what you sow. So I'm going to begin sowing into my employees, teaching and training them in the areas that I need them to be efficient and proficient. I'm going to intentionally stretch myself from being or continuing to be a one-woman show. I am going to stay in my lane, and I'm going to become even better at what I'm called to do. I'm not going to be afraid of the faces because I'm reminded of who I am and whose I am. I'm equipped for this. God knew me before I was even put in my mother's womb. He had already designed and purposed a plan for me to be the one-woman show, to be a CEO, to be a leader in an organization. I have already the power within to succeed. I have within me the power within to go to the next level, and I have the power within me to bring some other people along, to be a benefit to them, not only to the people I serve, as in my clients, but as in those I employ. And so it is the process. It is the insecurities that I may feel that I can be vulnerable enough about with my employees and or with my clients if necessary to help them relate and help take them as well to the next level. Your employees and your clients are looking for the real you. They don't want a shell of a you. They don't want the masked you. They don't want the you that's been perpetrating a fraud. They want the real you with all your imperfections. They want the real you with all your flaws. They want the real you because they know that in some way, shape, or form you are flawed and jacked up. And that comforts them because it lets them know that you are just like them. And when you push through and succeed because you've learned how to become not just intellectually proficient, but emotionally intelligent. And it's that emotional intelligence that as you do these exercises, as you intentionally shift, you become that city set upon a hill that can't be hid, that people are attracted to. They will begin to want what they see in you, and following you becomes easier. It becomes easier. It gives them comfort. It lets them know that if you can do it, they can do it, and that everything is going to be okay. Remember, our lives are not our own. You are an example to a next generation. You are an example to all of those who God has sent you to right now. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, I want you to think of the one thing, and it shouldn't be hard, that comes to mind, the one thing that you've been holding on to, the one task, the one responsibility, the one burden, the one headache that you've been holding on to, and you know you need to let it go. You know that you need to delegate that task or responsibility to someone else. You may need to give it to someone who's already in your organization and shuffle different responsibilities to make it tasteful for everyone involved. Or you may need to contract someone to do this task, or you may need to hire a new employee to do this task. I want you to write that task down, all of the descriptors of what that person would need to do, how you see it in real life and in real color benefiting you. How can you groom this person if you're hiring them as your employee? How can you groom them to make this work for your good and hopefully for theirs? But I actually want you to focus on you. You are delegating because your energy is being accosted in an area that it shouldn't be. And it's taking you away from what you love. It's causing you to feel weary in your well-doing. It's taking energy away from those you're supposed to be serving. It's causing you to not be as effective. And it simply doesn't bring you joy. Who can you delegate this responsibility to? Do I need to hire them, contract them, or shift some responsibilities with the employees that I already have? Maybe you need to delegate a responsibility at home so that you can do your work, your job, your ministry more effectively. Maybe it's yard work. Maybe it's you need a housekeeper to come in and you're telling yourself, I can't afford that. You can't afford not to. Maybe you could start out with one time per month. Maybe you could start out with only certain rooms. But you've got to do something to delegate that responsibility so that you can step into the best version of you. Maybe it's allowing your children to do more than they've been doing, giving them a task to clean their rooms instead of you doing it before you go off to work. There's a myriad of areas that you could take back proficiency in and feel good about yourself. You can do it. This is an act of love to yourself. This is an act of faith to yourself. This is an act of discipline. This is a spiritual exercise. Give love to yourself. Give it to yourself, or you can't give to anyone else what you won't give to yourself. You are the example in that organization, whether it's yours or you're running it for someone else, that self-care is truly important and that a healthy leader delegates because they've been given the authority to do so and they understand the benefits of delegating. You don't have to choose to go another day sad, depressed, angry, or resentful that you're still operating in this. You can let it go. Shift, shift, shift. Intentional, purposeful, I choose to shift. Let me know what your results are. But I know, I'm telling you what I know. And I've said it before, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but you're listening today. And now you know. And guess what? Now you're held accountable for what you know. What is that sore spot? What is that pain file that you need to let go? Identify it. Do the work. Let it go. And give yourself the love that you deserve. I pray that this has been beneficial to you today. Walk in your power and your authority. Know that you are a boss. Act like it and delegate. Remember, the power within you is undeniable. Blessings from your favorite therapist, coach, and sister friend, Raquel. You've been listening to the Power Within podcast with Raquel Reed. For more information on all things Raquel, go to inpoweryou.com. And before you go, don't forget to comment, follow, and share this episode with someone you love.